Good evening. Thank you. By show of hands, how many of you out there know how to draw? Good, very good. All right, now how many of you think you cannot draw? Well, there's where you may be wrong. And I'm going to show you how right now. Now, we can all make a simple circle, correct? Let's make a simple circle right here. Now, inside of that circle, let's make another smaller circle. Now, what have you got? An eyeball, right? Simple. All right, we all know our alphabet, correct? We can make a capital D. Well, let's make a capital D underneath that eyeball, but put it on its side, like so. Got a mouth, don't you? We're building something here. Let's put a couple of small V's on the inside of that, and we have the beginnings of a cartoon monster. Now, you can fill this out any way you want to. Put an M in here for a tongue, upside down U for the body, a couple of W's at the bottom for claws, maybe an S here attached to another S, and the same on the other side. Monster, right? Yeah. See, it's all in the perspective of how you look at things. Art can be part of the building blocks, the core building blocks of anything that you do. Now, what we used there was simple shapes and letters in order to form a cartoon monster. Using the artistic mind to help you come up with your answers is very helpful and meaningful at the same time. Now, take my story, for instance. I'm a disabled veteran who used the creative arts in order to rehabilitate. And I can honestly say, art saved my life. It's a pretty bold thing to say, but it's true. And I'm going to talk with you about how I have come to this conclusion. Let's start with a little bit of a backstory. At the age of 18, I joined the United States Air Force right out of high school. The idea of working on high-tech equipment, getting my education, and best of all, traveling the world, was pretty high on this young man's list at the time. Best decision I ever made. I got a great opportunity to travel all over the United States and part of Europe. And I learned a pretty cool trade. My job? I was an audiovisual media maintenance technician. In other words, I worked on cameras, camera systems, anything and everything that could take a picture, make a picture, or project a picture. It's pretty cool. Things are going great up until the first Gulf War. And unfortunately, after that, I became extremely ill. Now, I lived in some great places like Texas, Colorado, California, twice, and best of all, Wiesbaden, Germany. And as I mentioned to you before, the first Gulf War. After that, I became so ill that I couldn't stay in the service. So after two operations, Rick Isbell found himself medically retired and out of the service. Now, I didn't know at the time, but my drive to be able to work again and to better myself was my saving grace. Years later, I would run into a doctor that would help me cement this theory. You see, as a 24-year-old man, I couldn't accept being labeled 100% disabled. My gut was telling me I had to pick myself up, push forward, and get my education, no matter how sick or weak I felt. They say that knowledge is power. And I'm here to tell you it is, and I'm living proof. I was able to talk the VA into allowing me to go to the Columbus College of Art and Design through the Chapter 31 Vocational Rehabilitation Program. Not an easy task. VA doesn't allow a lot of things. But anyways, it was the best thing that I've ever done. And you see, I want to share a story with you first. My family. We all like to joke, kid around, and be generally goofy. When we're all together, you better bring your A game because the funny flows fast. Yeah, unfortunately for me, when I returned, I was noticeably slow and sluggish. I always felt like a step behind. By the time I thought of something quick and witty to say, they had already moved on to another part of the conversation. It was a lonely feeling. And although I was surrounded by all these people who loved and cared for me, I just couldn't keep up with them. It was as if someone had put gauze over my eyes and I couldn't see clearly and everything was out of focus. Years later, I worked with a doctor named Dr. Chrisanne Gordon. She is the founder and chairwoman of Resurrecting Lives Foundation. Our chance meeting gave me some insight of what happens to the human brain with trauma and stress. Now, there we go. Now, it has been shown in studies that there can be blockage in your pathways. There's scar tissue, and it can be blocking all your memories. And if you don't start working your brain right away, you may lose those memories. That's why you find so many military and veterans feeling so frustrated. They know the memory's there. They just can't get to it. The key is to get an education as soon as humanly possible, because then you can build pathways around those scars and get back to those memories. So you see, had I not forced myself to go back to art school when I was physically able, I may not have been able to forge those paths and clear out the cobwebs. I can tell you, I'll never forget the day when I actually felt lucid. I woke up that morning and it was like someone had taken a veil from in front of my eyes. And all of a sudden, I could think clearly. I could see clearly. There's no more haze. All the synapses were firing. I was me again. It's the best feeling ever. The only feeling that was any better was the birth of my children and the marriage to my beautiful wife. Earlier, I made the bold statement that art saved my life. I will always be convinced that it was the creative arts that helped me to rehabilitate faster. And in that vein, I recently joined a VA study to see how art helps disabled veterans. Now, I already knew the benefits that it had for me, but I wanted to see how the other vets accepted it, what they did. And it was wonderful to see the change that came over these veterans as they were being creative and trying new things. There was a calmness that came over all of us, and it was felt by even the most angry of the group. We were a group of everything, and we were all sexes, ages, colors, creeds. We served during different times. We were diversity at its finest. After that, we were asked if we wanted to be part of an art program and at the gallery, and they asked me to do it, and I said, I will only do it if I can put in art that I made during the time of my rehabilitation. This was the art that pulled me out of the haze. This was the art that helped me make my comeback. This was the art that helped me come back into life. And finally, this is the art that made me feel more than just a 100% disabled veteran. I overcame adversity and a lot of things in order to get to my top two goals. Number one was to be able to work again and support my family. That was my best goal. Number 2, to be able to honor, celebrate, and inspire veterans just like myself with great causes such as the Fallen 15, American Legion, and the Homeless Veterans Stand Down. I'm happy to report to you that after my rehabilitation, I've been gainfully employed for quite some time. That being said, I have given back with my skills and talent to the community. I have given countless hours to nonprofit organizations for such things as logos, coins and medals, posters, and license plates that serve as a moving memorial to the families of our fallen heroes. Ladies and gentlemen, it has been an honor to serve our veterans and military community, and I want to thank you all for coming here tonight and walking with me on my pathway home. Thank you.